restricted section. Today I'm going to be doing my review of my first fiance pick book. We did a video a while back where he kind of pitched some books to me and I chose two of them to read, and I decided that I would read one and review it this month and I would read one and review it next month. So the first pick that I have is Homeland by Salvatore. So this is the book I'm going to be talking about today. And if I seem tired, it's because I am, so please bear with me. So this first book that I chose is the first book of the Legend of Drizzt series, I guess. And these books take place in the whole like D&D universe, in the Forgotten Realms. So I didn't have a whole lot of experience with D&D, but we recently started playing a campaign, and it's really my biggest experience with it so far. And my character is a Drow or Dark Elf Druid, and so having not played a lot of D&D and not really knowing much about it, my fiance kind of thought that this book and this series would be helpful for me to learn about that culture and that society, to kind of help me understand my character a little bit more. And I agreed. So I thought the Drow sounded like a really cool race. They're dark elves and they live in the Underdark, so they live very far below the surface. And they are a really hateful race. Like, they hate all of the other like races on the surface, and that's what they teach to the young Drow, and they do brainwash them to think that they've been persecuted and subjugated by all these other races of creatures, and that's why they're in the Underdark, and that's, you know, why their life is the way it is. And so they really kind of perpetuate the cycle of hate. So, but none of that's really true. So the Drow hate all these other races, and they're assholes to other races, so the other races do come to hate them, but it's not because of any of the reasons that they taught in the first place. The Drow are also really like, there's a lot of infighting basically, so they're really ambitious and they seem to really crave power. Keep in mind while I'm talking about this book that I'm talking about it as kind of an outsider from D&D, so if it sounds like I'm talking out my ass, please feel free to correct me in the comments, because I'm just talking about this book. I don't know a whole lot about D&D universe as a whole, so like I said, if I'm talking out my ass, please correct me. So anyway, there seems like there's a lot of infighting, so they're super ambitious. They live in this big city, and there's these power families in the city, and those power families kind of run things. And then the top, like, however many families are on this, like, leading council of the city. So the goal is to, like, be one of those families. In order to do that, they will just wipe out, other Drow will wipe out entire families of Drow in order to take their place of power. And like the overarching philosophy in the society is just don't get caught. Like, if you get caught, they will punish you and it will be fucking brutal. But if you don't get caught, everyone can know that it was you. Like, they can suspect you, but if they can't prove it, then you're good. So that's pretty fucked. So this book tells the story of Drizzt, and he's a Drow, obviously. He's born as the third male of his family. And it's customary, the Drow worship this spider queen whose name I can never pronounce correctly. It's like Loth or something. So they're going to sacrifice him as a third son. It's customary to sacrifice a third son to her. But due to some, fuckery, one of his brothers dies, and so he is allowed to live. So it kind of talks about his upbringing, being raised as a child Drow, and the Drow are a matriarchal society. So men are very secondary. They're not supposed to talk out of turn, act out of turn, look a female Drow in the eye unless it's cool with her. Very matriarchal society. And so he's raised by one of his sisters, And the idea for him that his mother, like the matriarch of the family, has for him is that he will take his dead brother's place and be a wizard. But he demonstrates an aptitude for fighting, and so Zacnafane, I love the names in this book, by the way. They're super fun. Zacnafane, who is like the weapons master of the family, he recognizes this ability in Drizzt and talks the matriarch into allowing Drizzt to train as a fighter instead. Turns out Zacnafane is Drizzt's dad. So, and throughout the book it kind of talks about how Zacnafane notices that Drizzt is different. He doesn't seem cruel, and he seems to have this innocence that most Drow don't have. And he isn't really on board, like he doesn't seem to fall so easily into like the hateful ways and the hateful thought patterns. And Zacnafane identifies with that because he feels similarly. So he trains Drizzt as a fighter. Drizzt grows up, and as he gets older, he seems to be like more disillusioned with the ways of the Drow, basically. Doesn't really fit in, doesn't buy into it. And he, as a child, doesn't really realize how much like bullshit he's being fed necessarily, and how much infighting there really is. And then there's an incident that happens where they are actually standing on the balcony of their house watching one family attack another family, and he kind of gets this like oh shit moment. Like, this is how my culture is. So, it's really interesting to read about like all the plotting and all like the infighting and all that stuff was pretty interesting. So eventually, there's a lot of plotting to kill Drizzt. There was a family that Drizzt's family like fucked over pretty hardcore, and they want the remaining member of that family wants revenge, and then also they're kind of seen as a powerful family, and so there's another family that notices and they want to take him out. So he survives all this, and he gets to the point where he is super disillusioned with the culture and with his family, and he says fuck it, and he pieces out and he leaves the Underdark. Or he doesn't leave the Underdark yet, but he leaves the city. And that's how this book ends. So I thought it was really interesting. Reading a book about a matriarchal society is super interesting. There's this one part where one of the female Drow kind of mansplains something just to one of the dudes, which was super fascinating. And also, sidebar, I mean, this should be obvious, but whatever. I think sexism is shit, regardless of, where it's directed. So I don't think that, just because sexism against women is pretty prevalent in our society, that it's okay for, sexism to then be turned on men. That's not what I'm saying. It was just really funny as a woman who has been on the receiving end of mansplaining on multiple occasions. It was really funny to see that turned in the other direction. So I thought that was super interesting. And although it's a matriarchal society, these bitches have power. They're super, super powerful. They're not, I wouldn't necessarily say that they're empowered. I think, like, they're evil, wicked bitches. So, like, they're powerful bitches, and it's a matriarchal society, but that they're not any kind of women that I would aspire to be. This was just basically a good, nerdy fantasy novel. I guess R.A. Salvatore, I've heard from several people that he's known for the way that he writes his fight scenes, that he's really good at choreographing those. And I did find that to be true. Overall, though, I think the whole book was pretty well written. I really enjoyed it. It was nerdy as hell, and it was just really cool, and it did really help me get a better understanding of the Drow and of the background my D&D character would come from. So that was helpful. And I think I probably will read more books in this series because I did really enjoy this one. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. But yeah, it was a fun read. But yeah, so I think that's it for this one. So Fiancé had a good pick. This was a good one. I'll be reading my second fiance pick and reviewing it in July, and that will be The Hobbit, because somehow I have still not read The Hobbit, and that is a tragedy. So I'm going to remedy that situation, and I'm going to read The Hobbit. So I will be doing a video about that one as well. So yeah, I think that's it for me today. Soon I have some cool stuff coming up for you guys on Monday. So stay tuned for that. And thank you guys so much for watching. I will put some links down below where you can find me elsewhere on social media, and also where you can find Sue on social media. If you're not already subscribed, I mean, I don't want to tell you what to do, but you should probably subscribe. I mean, it's a pretty cool channel. I'm just saying. If you are already subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you guys for watching. We have a lot of fun here, and we really like doing this. So thanks for wanting to listen to us. It's really cool. So yeah, that's it for me today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!